Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, your channel on YouTube for all things PSG, and boy, am I excited today because today we are going to be talking about David Boly, a superstar in the making, and I think according to many people, probably the most talented kid we've got coming out of our academy right now. So really like a superstar in the making, and I'm not aggrandizing or anything. We're really talking about a special talent there, and so I wanted to do a little video showcase, I guess, presenting the player. He's actually been injured the past few months and he's back with the squad now. So it's actually a pretty good time to be talking about him, and that's why I'm taking it now. So first things first, David Boly, who is he? He is a 16-year-old, I swear. He's born on the 22nd of January 2009. So he's 16 and a half, essentially. He'll turn 17 at the beginning of next year. He was born in Colombes, which is a close suburb of Paris on the western side. French with Ivorian Coast origins. I don't know through his mom or his dad, but Ivorian Coast. He's a right-footed right back. He joined the PSG Academy in 2022. Before that, he was in Agnières and in Colombes, so local football teams around when he was born and where he lived. And he's got a youngster contract with PSG until 2027. And yeah, I'll put some footage as we speak, as I always do. He's one of those special talents. He's a kid that's, like I said, like generally a lot of people are looking at him. 16-year-old already playing with the U19 of PSG since last season. Last season, he had 25 games with the U19. Season before that, 23-24, he had 19 games with the U17. So, he was playing with the U17 when he was 14 years old, and he was playing with the U19 at 15, which is insane. He had his first Youth League games last season, so that's the Youth Champions League equivalent. And he was the fourth ever youngest player of PSG to play in the Youth League, after Warren Zaire-Emery, Ethan Mbappé, and another player that left the club since then, Koulibaly. So really promising. He went on and played in the Euro with the France U17 team last summer, and unfortunately picked up an injury to the shoulder, which has been keeping him out of play for the last few months. And like I said, he just came back to training. He started playing and he played his first game of the season last weekend with our U19 team. He played, I think, 45 minutes. And he is a player that we know Luis Enrique is very keen to see and evaluate. There's, a question mark around whether he's going to be training with the pros during this international break window. Maybe it's still a little bit early because he's just coming back from injury, but this is the kind of things we're talking about. He's actually already part of the PSG B squad for the Champions League. So if you don't know, essentially in the Champions League, you've got the main squad of players, which is a list of 25 that we must give to UEFA, which must include 8 players who went through the academy in France, and 4 who went through the academy in PSG. But you also have a B list, which is made up of youngsters from the club that can be called up to participate in the game. And at the beginning of the season, David Boly was the only player that we had actually included in this B list. Now, and Gentoo and Jean-Jal have been included as well since the game against Barcelona. But initially, Boly, even if he was injured, he was already in the B list. And so very much, part of the plan and part of the players that Luis Enrique was looking at. And there's really good reasons for this. I think in terms of profile, he's a really exciting youngster. In general, like the first thing that people notice about him, is how strong he is physically. He's a big guy. He's already 1.83 m, I think, at 16 years old. He's very meaty as well. He's very strong physically, but he's also got excellent pace and acceleration and athleticism. So he's able to cover the flank very well and kind of run back and forth and contribute both defensively and offensively. On top of this, like for his age, he's also got, very strong technical skills. His dribbling is good, his ball control, his first touch. He likes to combine and do 1-2s with his winger or his midfielders. And he's very, very able in terms of controlling the ball at speed. So not only can he run very fast, but he can also like run with the ball very fast, which is, a very impressive skill at his level, at his age. In terms of defending, he's got good anticipation, good positioning. He reads the defensive situations pretty well. He likes to make interception rather than diving into tackles, which is really more the way of playing of PSG anyway. So he tries to defend with his head rather than with his feet, which is good. And then in terms of contributing to the attack, he likes to make overlapping runs. He likes to join in. He's got okay crosses and pretty decent pass accuracy for the fullback role. And yeah, like physically, like I said, he's a beast, but like, not only in terms of speed and acceleration, but also like his stamina, his agility, and having intensity throughout the whole game. So all of this really, really promising, and you can see the footage as we go. I think there's really like quite a few examples and already quite a few videos on YouTube of him turning in really big performances against major opponents, domestically, but also in the Youth League last season. So very, very encouraging. He does have some elements of his games that he still needs to develop, which is completely fair at his age. First, like in terms of aerial ability, it's generally like something that he needs to work on. He's pretty tall for his age, and he's starting to have some experience. So he should like try to be more dominant in terms of headers and contested balls in the air. And then I was kind of hinting at that earlier. But when it comes to his crossing quality and what he does when he really gets into the opposing team penalty box, it's still a little bit inconsistent. Like the runs are very good, but the last pass or the shot, sometimes like he doesn't make the right decision. Sometimes he doesn't execute well. So there's still a little bit of inconsistency there that can be frustrating. At the same time, he's a defender and not an attacker, so we're still talking about like marginal improvements. And then, obviously he's still young, so there is still a question mark in terms of how he'd react under pressure, and how he would face adapting at a higher level as well, and with the intensity of high-stake games that he might have to face if he makes it into the pro squad. And finally, so he's back from his injuries. That was really the first one of his career. It was an injury to the shoulder, so not any sort of like chronic footballer's injury to the muscles in the legs or the knee or stuff like this. So that's relatively reassuring. But we'll need to see how quickly he bounces back, whether he's lost any of his skills during the I think it was like nearly 4 months. He got injured in June. We're in October. We have 4 months or so of like really not being able to play. And so that's quite a lot of time for a youngster at this place in his career. So we'll need to see how he bounces back. So yeah, like in general, like I keep saying the same thing, but like, yeah, he's like probably the youngster in PSG that people look at with the biggest potential. To give you a sense, not only is he compared to Hakimi because like he's playing the same position, but he's also compared to Kyle Walker in terms of the physicality, the ability to contribute offensively, and the sort of games that he plays. So pretty good comparison. And I think, when we look at PSG, obviously we didn't recruit a substitute for Hakimi over the summer. We still do play either Warren Zaïre-Emery or João Neves when we need to play someone in this role. There's been question mark about Zabarni also like potentially being played in this position. But there's also been a lot of chatter about David Boly being the one that ultimately Luis Enrique is looking at to fill this substitute right back position for us, and the one who could really get a lot of playing time come January when Hakimi has to go for the African Cup of Nations. And so this is really when, one way or the other, like he'll probably get his chance, and he'll need to take it and just show us what he can do. So this is kind of like the future as we see it. We'll see how quickly he can integrate into the first team, and yeah, whether like given all of the injuries that we've had in this first block of the season, it's not impossible that we face more. It's not impossible that, he could be pressed into service earlier than expected. If you look at Engine 2 and Jean-Jal, I don't think anyone at the start of the season really looked at them as players who could really like get a chunk of time in the first team. And yet 2 months later, here we are, and they've clearly like made an impact and impressed. So we could be looking at the same thing with David Boly. I think the next few weeks / next few months between now, October, November, December, January are going to be pretty decisive in terms of how quickly he makes it up. And at the same time, he's a 16-year-old. So man, like a player making it in the first team, not even 17, that's very, very, very unusual and very impressive. So let me tell you, keep your eyes peeled out for this one. Once again, he's a superstar in the making, and it's going to be an exciting one to watch. So anyway, this is what I had for you guys on David Boly ascending and making his way through the ranks of the youth teams in PSG. Please let me know in the comments if you knew about the player already. He's been like relatively talked about for a youngster, so I'd expect like quite a few of you would have heard his name already. What's your level of hype and excitement for him, and how do you see him starting to contribute in the first team this year, and what do you think he can bring to the table? And yeah, as always, if you made it this far, please drop a like on this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And as always, ici c'est Paris!